Welcome to TP201 Transfer Pricing for Tangibles. We're going to continue with our videos on the profit split method. In the previous video we had the introduction to the profit split. We told you how it's done, that there are two different profit splits, the comparable profit split and the residual profit split. We're now going to walk through an example of the residual profit split. So we're going to start from a case that we've used a lot in these training videos, and that is the case of Japan Co. and a related party UK Co., where Japan Co. is selling products to UK Co., and the price is £7 and they're 10 units, so the total transfer price is 70. They show up as Japan Co.'s sales, and they show up as UK Co.'s cost of goods sold. So with that base case to start from, let's talk about applying a residual profit split. Well, the first step in the residual profit split is to give each side of the transaction a return, a basic routine return for what they're doing. So let's start off by giving the manufacturing side, which is Japan Co., a 10% return on its cost. Now we would establish that 10% by creating a set of comparable firms along the lines of doing a comparable profits method. And we say, okay, we're going to start off with a 10% return on cost, and Japan Co. has costs of 60, because they've got the cost of goods sold of 40 plus the 20 in operating expense. So 10% of 60 gives them a base profit that they need to earn of 6. Similarly, we're going to give a routine return to the distributor, which is UK Co. In this case, UK Co. had sales of 100, so giving them a 3% margin, which again we would establish from a set of firms that met the comparability of doing a comparable profits method or a transactional net margin method. So we give the distributor a base return of 3. Now, in total, there's 15 of profit, and we've allocated a base rate of return of 6 for manufacturing and 3 for distribution. So together that's 9. That leaves a residual profit of 6 that we need to split between the two parties here. Now, how are we going to split this 6? Well, we need to pick some reasonable factor. We might be looking at something like the investment each one has made in developing an intangible, or costs or assets, etc. In this case, let's just use cost. And if we're using cost, we don't want to include the intercompany cost. So we'd say in Japan Co., they have costs of 60. That's the 40 of cost of goods sold and the operating expense of 20. Those are out-of-pocket costs to Japan Co. And UK Co., we're going to look at their operating expenses, which are 25. Their cost of goods sold, well, that's just internal to the company. If it's essentially, it's what they paid Japan Co. for doing what their manufacturing phase. So then we would look at these proportionately. So we'd be saying Japan Co. has 60 out of the total of 85 in costs, and UK Co. has 25 out of the total 85 in costs. And if you work out those numbers, that works out to a 71% of the cost is incurred in Japan Co. and 29% of the cost is incurred in the UK Co. So we would apply those proportions to the remaining 6, the residual profit that's left to be done here. So if we think about Japan Co., it's going to start off with the 6, and then it gets a residual profit of 4.26. 4.26 is the 71% times 6, that is residual profit, for a total of 10.26. And similarly with UK Co., we start off with a routine base return of 3. The residual share is 1.76, and that's equal to 29% times the 6 of residual profit, for a total of 4.76. So you can see the numbers are fairly close to where they were before, and this is just one example of a residual profit split. And note, if you add the two together, except for some rounding problems, that adds up to the 15 in total profit that we had to begin with. Thanks. I hope you enjoyed this video and the other videos in this series. We're going to do another example and talk about how a different allocation key to that residual profit will produce a different number. Thanks. Have a great day.